Welcome to Muslim Apologetics Australia. I had this incredible discussion with a person called Jason Dupere who thinks that Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi has a PhD in Quranic studies from Saddam University in Baghdad and a BA, an MA and a PhD in Islamic studies from the Islamic University of Baghdad. Now, is this true? Well, the critics want you to believe that it is true because, as you know, Muslims would say that ISIS doesn't represent Islam, and in fact, the ISIS members, like their leaders, are not scholars in Islam. So these desperate liars actually quote references that don't show any sources to their claims. So let's run through what they actually quote. And interestingly enough, I asked Jason to bring us the quotes where the actual credentials are found. Where does it write it? He writes the BBC, he writes the New York Times, and so forth. So when we go through each of the links he posts, it says, and I read you the report from the BBC, it says, and I'll put all the links below this link so you can see it for yourself. It is said that Baghdadi came from the Abu Bakr tribe, which is primarily based in Samarra and Diyala north and east of Baghdad, respectively, and known historically for being descendants of Muhammad Turki al-Binali's tract continued by highlighting that prior to the US invasion of Iraq in 2003, Baghdadi received his PhD from the Islamic University of Baghdad, with a focus on Islamic culture, history, Sharia, and jurisprudence. Baghdadi preached at the Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal Mosque in Samarra. Baghdadi does not have credentials from esteemed Sunni religious establishments such as Al-Azhar University in Cairo or the Islamic University of Medina in Saudi Arabia. So notice here, the BBC has claimed that he does have a PhD, and it's reported, it is true, it is reported on their website, but this is just a claim. There's no actual evidence to this, because I went through different various links and websites to actually see whether this claim on the BBC is actually affirmed, and there's actually no evidence to support it. You can actually see the BBC report here, and just down the page it actually says that what we quoted earlier, Baghdadi received his PhD from the Islamic University of Baghdad. But again, as you can see on their page, it doesn't even reference, all it does is reference a university, but it doesn't show a quote affirming it from the university itself. There's actually nothing. I can put the hyperlink below this video so you can read it for yourself, and the BBC doesn't have the actual reference itself. Now, it gets even more funny because as I was searching, I came across the infamous Jihad Watch page, and I actually seen the same quote there. It says, let's go ahead and read. This is from the Jihad Watch page. It says, ISIS leader has doctorate in Islamic studies, believes each religion has its state except Islam and it should have a state. So the infamous Jihad Watch page is actually claiming the same thing as the BBC. And if you just go down below the page, and you can see where they actually show where the quote actually originates from. Let's have a look. So under the subtitle Syrian Expansion, it says, according to the US reward notice, which depicts a round-faced, brown-eyed man with closely cropped beard and a short dark hair, Baghdadi was born in Iraq town of Samarra in 1971. He got a doctorate, listen to this part, he got a doctorate in Islamic studies at Baghdad University, Jihadi website says. So this is like a jihadi newspaper. A jihadi website is actually saying that he received his doctorate in the Islamic Studies of Baghdad. So where is BBC and all of this rubbish copying their information from? Yes, you heard it, folks, from a jihadi website. So it is clear this fabrication lie comes from a jihadi news article, and obviously that can't be verified. That obviously can't be true, because it'd be unauthentic according to Western journalism and experts. So how could they even trust such a jihadi website? And I pointed this out to Jason. I said to him, I said, and jihadi, I said, how can you say this is true when it's on a jihadi website? This is where the information is derived from. And look what Jason writes. He says, and jihadi news cannot print any true things. Look what he says. And jihadi news cannot print any true things. So he's saying that jihadi news can print true stuff. And I said to him in response, I said, and jihadi news cannot print any true things. No, they can't apparently, because Muslims apparently believe in taqiyya, right? So if Muslims believe in taqiyya, how can that be true? And then Jason writes back and says, no, they can't apparently. So if they printed, and he gives a maths equation like 2 + 2 = 4, that's just undeniable. But the silly guy thinks that this is a maths equation. It's not a maths equation. Baghdadi's credentials have got nothing to do with the maths equation. So he's trying to be smart. But I found him cute because, Muslims can tell truths apparently, especially jihadi newspapers. And these people tell us that Muslims believe in taqiyya. So notice, a Muslim makes propaganda in a jihadi newspaper against the West, then apparently it's all taqiyya. But then when they bring out information that apparently Baghdadi has credentials, apparently they're suddenly telling the truth. So notice how they cherry pick. When it suits them, it's not taqiyya, but when it doesn't suit them, it's all taqiyya. Everything is taqiyya. All these Muslims are making taqiyya about the West. Amazing. And that includes the infamous Islam Watch website that's presenting this information from a jihadi militant website, right? Apparently, again, the Islam Watch page will always say Muslims believe in taqiyya, but then they quote Muslim magazines, jihadi magazines, extremist magazines that claim that this man's got a PhD. Well, the truth of the matter is, folks, the BBC has derived its lies from this magazine, and this magazine itself cannot be affirmed and trusted. So yes, he doesn't have credentials. I pulled this out on the Reddit website. It says, does Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi really have a PhD? And you can actually go where there's a discussion on this. As the Washington Post and BBC and so forth declare that apparently he does have. And again, their sources come from silly jihadi websites. But yeah, so when you discussions here, there's 2 articles printed here in blue, and if you click on it to see whether it is affirmed by the university itself, and it'll open up now. This is from the University of Baghdad, the actual website and page for it. You can see whether people have got a PhD and so forth, as you can see below. And al-Baghdadi is actually missing in the whole list. It's not there. So his name is not even mentioned on their actual university. And here's another link. This is a famous University of Baghdad. And again, you can go to the list of names of people who are experts, who have got PhDs and so forth. You can go through all the list of names, and again, Baghdadi is not actually in there as well. So his name's not there, and it obviously can't even be confirmed that he's got a PhD and graduated from those universities. And you can go through all the list of names, and he's not actually listed. So there you have it, folks. The Islamophobes have, the Islamic critics have got no substantial evidence that Imam al-Baghdadi has got a PhD, except for the infamous websites, the biased media outlets, and of course the jihadi websites that obviously can't be trusted, but apparently to some Islamophobes and critics, these people can be trusted. Amazing.